Raj, I desire to know, I desire to feel all the emotion of the knowingness that is perfect love of myself, to open to receive all thought in the mind of God. And so, what does it entail to yield to my perfection?
To manifest, yield to your perfection?
To yield to my perfection. I guess I intellectually understand, but to really yield to my perfection, you understand. And to manifest this desire by the surest means or way.
It is really simple. First of all, you need to have yourself on your mind less. And second, you simply need to have an object of your affection.
Meaning?
Meaning this flower, for example. Or anything that's in your line of vision. How do you extend affection? You extend affection by paying attention. And why do you pay attention, whether it's to this flower or to your blouse or the microphone in your hand or the ring on your finger, whatever? Why do you give it your attention? So that you might see God there. In giving your attention, you cannot be in a state of self-protection or defense, because you must open yourself up to the thing you're giving your attention to. When you are undefendedly giving your attention to something, you are expressing affection. And you are in a position of allowing that thing to communicate to you the God in it, or that of God which is so beautifully expressed there, or you wouldn't have anything to pay attention to. You experience God by letting God in, but you never let God in privately. In other words, you can't go into a closet, close the door, turn off the light, and sit in the dark and let God in. You can certainly become still and quiet in a closet. But, and I've certainly indicated before that to connect with God, you must go into the silence, which is the same as going into your closet. But what I'm meaning to say here is that letting God in is ultimately a matter of seeing God in everything you are looking at. Which means, as I said, you can't have yourself on your mind quite as much. And that's the key, especially for you. I keep saying that all that confronts you is the kingdom of heaven. Reality is what confronts you, no matter how you're defining all of this that you're seeing. To feel God in it, to feel the godness of the kingdom of heaven that is what is confronting you, happens when you let it in, and in order to let it in, you must be paying attention to it and looking for the capital M meaning that is there. That's affection. That's caring. That's love. No matter what you think this leaf is made out of, no matter how it might be described in terms of physics, the substance of it is energy, and the energy is love. It's God. And I've said it before, the love that is the energy and substance of this leaf or this glass or this fabric, being love, means that it is being loving. And so absolutely everything you see is actively engaged in embracing you with the love that it is. Now, everyone needs to become less self-occupied and more willing to be open to and receptive to the God in everything, the ultimate reality of everything that you're seeing. So that not only will you no longer be blind, but you will not be insensitive to the incredible love with which you are embraced by everything.
I sense that particularly about nature, Raj. I feel embraced by nature, and I feel embraced by people. I feel like I'm missing a point here.
Yes, the fullness of the experience, and the fact that which is embracing you is God Himself, or God itself, or God herself. The ultimate extension of love is embracing you from absolutely everything that exists. And Michael, that includes every single car that drives by your house. Its substance is love, and it embraces you with love that feels like God and not a nuisance. I'm going to put it this way. Your feeling of being embraced by nature and by people can be extended or increased in your experience until it is a constant experience of bliss, of divinity. What I am meaning to convey to you more than anything is that the way to get to this experience is not going to be through any mental process or correction of beliefs or any mental work you can do on yourself. It has to do with where you are giving your attention and why you're giving your attention to what you're giving your attention to.
I get that.
Yes, you do. Okay.
Thank you, Raj.
You are welcome. Hands? The lady right here. Oops.
I have a question of two parts of my body for healing. I believe I'm being healed in one. I want your...
I'm sorry.
I believe I'm being healed in one area, my knee, and I would like confirmation on this as I'm going on a trip with my daughter, and I won't go if it's not, but I've always felt as being healed.
That is correct.
And the other part is my ears, my hearing. What is it I'm not hearing? What is it I'm not listening to? Why I'm not getting any better? I have hearing problem.
It is a simple, stubborn belief. And it's not you being stubborn, but the belief is a stubborn belief that this is an area that is not as susceptible to healing as other areas in your life or in your body. It is blocking the healing. And it's a lie. The belief is a lie. There is absolutely nothing that can stand in the way of your increased capacity to hear. Complete renewal of your capacity to hear. Absolutely nothing standing in the way. God is not ordaining it. God is ordaining at every moment your complete capacity to hear perfectly. You are not doing something wrong, and there isn't something in you that you haven't uncovered yet that you must uncover before you can have healing.
Okay.
There simply is no justification at all for not hearing fully. I encourage you to be ready to be surprised with the full return of your hearing. A return that you can't claim any responsibility for at all because you did anything right, or because you had the right prayer or the right metaphysical thought. It's a gift. Your health, all of you, your health is a gift. That's what a birthright is, isn't it? A gift, something you haven't earned. So the correction of any of your problems is always a gift that you don't have to do anything to earn. It's like the Father has gifted you with all that you need in a bank account. It's already been given. But you do have to go and make the withdrawal to experience it. And you make the withdrawal by saying yes to God's gift. By saying, I expect, for no good reason that I can think of, to have my hearing resume fully and normally for no reason at all. I make claim to my fulfillment. I lay claim to it by saying yes to it and expecting to have the experience of it. You see? So, stop trying to find out what it is you need to be doing better in order to get your healing. Your healing isn't dangling out there for you to grab like a brass ring on a merry-go-round. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And then it's fine for me to go on this trip with my daughter.
Indeed, yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hands? You're right over here.
Hello, Raj.
Good afternoon.
I want to thank you first for, here I go, everything. There's been a lot of wonderful experiences happening, and I'm very grateful for them. I guess my question is, how can I best continue to allow this to happen?
To continue what?
To allow this unfolding to happen?
By not getting in the way. It's not going to stop. And you're really not inclined to get in the way.
Good.
So just keep an attitude of saying, yes, God.
Yes, God. Thank you.
You're welcome. Wholeness is a forever gift that the Father is bestowing on you all by virtue of His being you in every moment, by virtue of His expressing Himself every moment right where you are. That extension can never be interrupted, or God would cease to exist at the point of the interruption. So all you need to do is to be like the flower that turns its face to the sun and just says, yes, to the light.
Thank you. I will continue to do that.
Good. Good. Yes. Okay. Hands. Oh, the gentleman right here in the green.
Thank you, Raj.
You're welcome.
I've been trying to figure out how to pose this question, and everything you've said today has answered it in one way or another, but I still would like to ask. This is in terms of my marriage, and my wife and I have been married for about 2 years, and we have a beautiful son who's 1. And it's been a really hard couple of years since our marriage, really, and there's been a lot of pain, and for me there's been a lot of healing in my personal life, and it's been hard for me to be in the marriage as a father or as a husband, because I've been so preoccupied with my healing. And
Your healing of what?
Well, to be specific, right before I got married, I had a lot of doubts and fears that were coming up. And I was trying to express them at the time of coming up to our marriage and or our wedding, and she wasn't very welcoming of those thoughts, and I just kind of figured that I'll go through with this marriage with the faith that it will heal itself through time. And
It what?
The doubt that this is the right thing to do.
The marriage.
Yes. And I moved into it in the faith that this is what I want, despite the doubt. And I knew that I conceptually thought of the doubt and fear as being of my ego, not of what my heart was wanting. And
That was wise and a true realization. Continue.
yet since the marriage, I have tried to communicate what it was what those fears and doubts were about, but I haven't really. But in that time, I have kind of felt like I married someone who wouldn't let me be honest. But I still don't believe that those fears were honest. But what I've discovered is I've had a wall up for a long time, emotionally. And I don't think really this is something new with my wife. I think this is something I've had up a lot in my life at one point or another.
What are you afraid of? What are you keeping on the other side of the wall by means of having the wall there?
I'm afraid of being hurt. And I want to trust there's nothing to be afraid of in letting her move me, come into me. And I want to stop holding back my love from her where I have decided she needs to grow.
She needs to grow or go?
Grow.
Grow.
Yeah. She does. I love her very much. I know in my heart that this is where I need to be and where we need to be. But now she's questioning. She has lots of doubts and fears now about continuing in this relationship.
And because you have provided her with a lot of justification for questioning her own decisions regarding the marriage, you know what? When you use the word her, you could just as easily use the word God.
Mm-hmm.
You're afraid to let God in. And everything I said to the lady here about the flower and the leaf, and in fact the kingdom of heaven that confronts you, applies here. This has nothing to do with her, your wife.
Mm-hmm.
It has to do with finding justification for being walled off, separate, isolated, and therefore safe, apparently, from God knows what. And literally, I use those words because God does know what, and what God knows it is exactly the thing that you need because it's your wholeness and it's your birthright. And if you would recognize that the God knows what that's on the other side of the wall is what God knows, and is the presence of God and is the rest of you, then you would not find justification for keeping the wall up. And if what's on the other side of the wall is the fullness of all that God is, then you don't need to be afraid of it. At the bottom line, what's on the other side of the wall is the rest of you. The rest of what you are as God expressed. And what's on the other side of the wall, if you get rid of the wall, is the conscious experience of union, oneness, integrity, wholeness, safety, because there can't be conflict in oneness. And so you might as well use her instead of a flower as the object of your affection, so that you might give her your attention and let her in and just happen to get God along with her in the process and experience the nonsense that what's on the other side of the wall is fearful and is going to hurt you and convict you of inadequacies and so on. But you're going to have to risk the chance. And if it's not her, it's going to be something else. The call is for it to be her. The call is to accept her as the presenting factor for you to give your attention to. Being isolated is a painful, stressful, uncomfortable experience. You're not happy. The suggestion is that what's on the other side of the wall is going to hurt you. And instead of letting it in, you're staying in a permanent state of hurt by not letting anything touch you. Is that sensible?
Yes.
No, that is not sensible.
Well, no. It makes sense.
Yes. I know this sounds scary. You've got to be willing to make commitment to her. What really needs to be clear to you, and because of the way I presented it to you, I know that it will be clear, is that at the bottom line, in making commitment to her, you're making commitment to yourself. You're making commitment to your becoming free of the little box you've put yourself in, that you fool yourself into thinking you're safe in, and comfortable when you're actually miserable. It's just that this misery that you are experiencing is not as great as the misery you think you'll experience if you make commitment and let something in. So you put up, you tolerate misery because of the worst misery that awaits you if you make commitment, if you let something in, if you give your attention to something so that it can convey its meaning to you. So, the ego has you dangling like the proverbial carrot. You are the